if you'd like, I'd like to take the conversation a bit back to another topic, because as you said, you've done a lot of mission work, dedicated your life, but you spoke something very important, is about family. Being away from family, there was strain in that relationship. I just want to talk more about that, because I believe there are people who are listening to us or are watching this and want to go into ministry, and they feel that that could put a strain on the family.
I think the thing is that anybody that's thinking of going into the ministry and thinking, yeah, it's going to put a strain on my family and it will have an effect on my family and whatever, the answer to that is yes, it will. But if you know that God has called you to do that, you're not pursuing a career, but you're pursuing a calling.
Wow.
That makes the difference.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And
That's
when
good.
grace is needed, God gives more grace.
Yeah, wow. There we go.
And so it didn't badly affect our family. You know, I missed them terribly when I was away. It would have been easier to say, look, I miss my family too much, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. I missed my family, and when we came home, it was great. You know, the reunion, if you like, was great. We did things together, and Claire was still busy and all that, but we did things together and really made the choices to do those things rather than just let things flow along.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's incredible that you mentioned that, because for where I'm at personally, being young in the ministry, my wife works full time, 3 kids. I'm always asking the question, how do I do this? You know, like how do you balance everything? It's not all about my family, and it's not all about God where I neglect my family, and it's trying to get that balance of home life but without neglecting the ministry or God or anything. Just trying to get it. I don't know. I don't think we ever get it perfect, I'm guessing, but I guess there's always time of sacrifice, as you said, time apart, time where at the end of the day we do put God first. But answering one of my questions is that you said that there's a grace there when you're called. Yeah. And I sort of feel like that's a big key. That's a huge key.
See, if a person doesn't know or have that real assurance that God has called them to do whatever the ministry is that He's called them to, when it gets tough, the doubts start to come. Did I hear from God? Is this, you know, it's too hard, and the negatives start to come in. But if you know that God has called you, you'll stand. Yeah. And I think I know that is it's a prerequisite for anybody. Yep. You know, I mean, look, even if it was, I want to say even if it was a Sunday school teacher, you know, and they, it's all exciting and get started with it all, and then the kids start to fool around and something goes wrong and everything gets tipped over and this goes on week after week. You know, did God call me? You know, I think it's good to know that when God that God calls you to do something, or if He hasn't called you to do it, don't do it. You know, I mean, it's
exactly amazing. I think there's always that ups and downs in life, and you can't, just because you're at your bottom low, be like, okay, I've misheard God. He's definitely not called me to this. I think God tries to make you stronger in the ministry by giving you those experiences that are low. Yeah. And you know, even for me, like what you've mentioned was really good, because what I can hear, everyone in your family were in the same page. They knew they had to do ministry. Sometimes there are some families, some people who the whole family are not on board with this, and that's where, you know, to answer your question, you know, you have a wonderful family that support you and are willing to be with you when you're doing ministry, and that gives it so much boost for your, you know, self-esteem to do more for God. You know, even for me, like I'm in a season where I'm doing theology at the moment as you know, as a degree, and I'm almost finishing, which is this year. But my profession is in the medical field, and I've studied so much. And when God told me to go into ministry or do theology because I want you to do it, I was like, really? You really want me to do that?
Yeah.
And there were times when I was studying and multiple times where I thought, okay, this is not for me. Like I have a lot on my plate. I have a lot at the moment. Maybe I should just quit. And there've been so many occasions where God's like clearly said, bought situations and said, no, you're not going to quit at all. You're going to finish this. And I'm almost going to finish this. And it's amazing, like when God has a plan for you and you're diligent and you obey his plan, that's it. Don't doubt it. That's what I feel. Like just keep on doing, because he will support you. Trust in him. You know, it reminds me of, you know, the story in the Bible where Jesus is sleeping on the boat and the disciples are so scared because there's a big storm. And then he wakes Jesus up and Jesus just says, calm the storm, and also tells the disciples, trust in me.
Yeah, where's your faith?
And I think that's when we come into these seasons where we have a huge storm, we forget to trust him.